Adastra is a sci-fi political adventure with cosmic horror elements and gay romance intended for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Previously on Adastra.
Wait, you all think I'm dead?
Well, not me anymore, obviously. This is all very strange. How did you survive exactly?
Where's Amicus?
Is this possible? No, please. I can't handle another hallucination.
It's me! I woke up in the garden for some reason. I'm okay.
But how?
I don't know. I just remember having crazy dreams. Then I was in the garden.
I love you, Marco.
I clutch onto his arms. I love you too.
Out of the bed. He is unprofiled. All children, abandoned or not, are profiled. He is not a simian, so what is he? And is it true he's your lover?
Lover? How would he know anything about that?
The third trial begins today. You will lose, and Cassius will become emperor.
Cato begins to push Amicus to the doorway.
Do as I say, and I will let the alien live. Otherwise, we can do all of this in the most unpleasant way possible. Understand?
I realize then that I have to do something. I've been told to sit on the sidelines for far too long. So, I quietly sit back down and lean over to reach into Cassius's pile of clothes, quickly finding the Nervo and pulling it out. I run out of options and jam the Nervo right into his chest. Instantly, Cass is shot backwards several feet to crumple next to Amicus, shivering and convulsing. Amicus grips into the metal grating of Cato's face mask, fingers locking into the gaps before he pulls.
Marco, run! Run to Neferu! Run!
Step aside, Neferu, or risk being shot.
Don't shoot the jackal! Neferu, what are you doing with it?
Simply protecting a fellow Kamian. There's a moment of silence.
A what?
Kamian.
We will discuss this further once I'm back in the palace. I don't know what you and Amicus have planned, but know that I'll be keeping a very close eye on you. That creature is not to leave the palace. And remember, you have no way off this moon at the moment. It would be wise to do as I say.
Of course, Your Majesty. Damn. Marco, what happened? Where's Amicus? After a few more deep breaths, I begin to go over everything that just happened, starting at the point where we were woken up by Cato, and ending where I'd attacked Cassius and made a run for Neferu's room. What in the name of Romanos have you done, alien? Neferu chuckles. Easy, Virginia. He's been through quite a lot in the past hour. Easy? Cassius and Cato are in the hospital. Amicus is in the dungeons. Cassius is to become emperor. Our plans are in ruins, Neferu. What are you talking about? He's a part of this as much as we are. I believe he should know what we are up to. Marco, these plans were meant to be set in motion once Amicus became emperor. We both have interests. What interests? Well, it may come as no surprise that I wish to have the alliance. Virginia, on the other hand, to be his chief advisor. In the end, we both agreed that Amicus would be the best to fulfill both our interests as opposed to Cassius. We simply agreed to help each other accomplish these plans of ours. Well, then I want to help. And what would you be able to do? Virginia may be right, Marco. You're on unstable ground with Cato and Cassius, the two most powerful wolves on the moon. You should probably stay hidden in my quarters for the foreseeable future. I frown. All day? Every day? Yes. I don't like the sound of that at all. Well, you could be useful if the third trial was truly staged. Obviously, your word won't hold much weight, but if we can find footage to go along with it, we might be able to put a dent in Cato and Cassius's image.
I look at Virginia, but she's already stalking off toward the door.
Virginia? She doesn't say anything, but her ears perk. Could you talk to Cassius when he's Emperor about letting me see Amicus? I just want to make sure he's okay. There's a short pause as the door opens before I see her nod her head. I'll see what can be done. The jackal moves to the door himself, calling over his shoulder. Unfortunately, I also must take my leave. I'm going to gather a bit of information from the city. I'll be back toward the end of the day. Again, try to stay inside this room. It's locked to everyone but the Emperor. With that, the jackal leaves the room as well, leaving me alone in the room. I lay back, wondering how things went so wrong, so fast. I don't like any of this, and just like my first day on this moon, I feel out of place and completely out of my element. I just wish Amicus were here. I roll over, hugging the pillow as I try to fall asleep. Chapter 15: The New Emperor. The idea of me staying in Pharaoh's room constantly for the foreseeable future doesn't last long. In fact, a few hours later, I find myself leaving his quarters and wandering the halls of the palace like I have so many times before. Cato and Cassius probably won't be back for a little while, so I don't really have anything to be worried about as far as I know. Just as I'm thinking this, I see something out of the corner of my eye. A gray tail. Green stripes. Alexios. Seeing the cat suddenly reminds me of all those suspicions I've been keeping bottled up about him, if only to keep the peace in the palace. Again, with all that thrown out the window, I find myself fast-walking in Alex's direction, determined to confront him. While I feel like complete shit after what's happened, I also feel completely liberated. Cat's out of the bag. I can basically say whatever I want now. Well, mostly. Definitely should still be careful. I turn the corner as I'm thinking this, and find myself standing just a dozen feet away from the cat, Alex bent over as he waters one of the plants. He's humming again, and he's smiling when he looks up at me. That smile immediately vanishes. He drops his watering can, sending it and the contents spilling across the floor with a clanging sound. He basically lost all chance of looking not suspicious in the first second he saw me.
Marco, how are you this fine morning?
Terrible. What are you doing?
I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you feeling ill? What happened to your arm?
Alex's eyes go to the bandage on my bicep, but I ignore him, taking a step forward. In response, he takes a step back. What have you been up to?
Up to?
His eyes dart left and right, as if looking for an escape. Telling Neferu about me, telling the Triumvirates about what I told you. I don't know if he actually did that last one, but his reactions seem to tell me. His eyes widen as he backs away.
I have no idea.
Did you talk to Cato yesterday, after you saw me in the gardens last night? You realize what's happening right now, right?
Marco, you're scaring me.
The cat continues to back away. I follow, and that's when Alex just gives up on his act, turns tail, and sprints down the hall. Before I know it, I'm running after him, eyes focused on his thrashing tail as his sandals slap against the marbled floor.
Stop chasing me! I don't know what you want!
I don't bother responding, starting to reach out to grab the back of his robes. Just as I make contact, though, he comes to a sudden halt, pressing himself against the wall so that I stumble and slide past him. He's at a door, and he presses his paw to the black panel so that it slides open before he dashes inside. I don't think he was really thinking about where he was going to end up, because I know that that's the bathing room, and I know he's trapped. I turn around and run inside after him, just in time to see him, still sprinting, slip dramatically on the wet floor, flying through the air for a moment before landing painfully on the corner of the bath. I hear him wheeze before he plunges into the hot water. If he lost his breath, it's back as he comes back up with a gasp, letting that all out in a scream of pain. The cat scrambles out of the water clumsily, scrabbling at the sides with his claws before finally rolling out, looking small and disheveled with his fur all matted up against his skin. He curls up, and to my surprise, I see that he's crying. This sight alone is enough to give me some doubt that Alex is the conniving saboteur I think him to be. He looks so pathetic right now. I stand over him for a bit, looking down at his pitiful form before clearing my throat. You okay?
Okay. I think you broke my ribs. Me? You're the one that ran away for no reason. No reason? You advanced upon me in a threatening manner.
The cat curls up again and makes some more sobbing noises, and I'm between believing him and believing that he's flat out faking. Sit on the bench. I reach down a hand to help him up, but he swats it away. I narrow my eyes. Answer my questions, Alex. The cat finally sits up, sniffling and rubbing at his nose, while the other paw clutches at his side.
I have no answers. I'm simply a pet.
Painfully, Alex gets to his feet before settling himself gingerly on the bench while stripping off his wet robe. Yeah, and I was simply a pet just yesterday. I'm not as stupid as you think, Alexios. Alex looks up at me, that pathetic, sad look, replaced by one that I can't really explain. When he remains quiet, I try again. I know everyone has interests here. What are yours? Maybe we have the same ones.
You're not being very subtle, are you?
What you did yesterday wasn't subtle at all. Who else could have told Cato that I was conscious again? That me and Amicus are lovers? Alex frowns, then shrugs.
How am I supposed to know? I told Cassius last night. He could have told a number of people, especially Cato.
That makes me pause. Of course Alex talks to Cassius on a regular basis, probably every night. It would make much more sense that the wolf was the one to tell Cato, rather than Alexios. But what about the lovers thing? You were the only one that suspected. Well, him and Nefero, but I know Nefero wouldn't tell. Alex scoffs, having taken off his robe and in the process of examining his side. It looks fine to me, no blood or anything, but he winces as he prods at it.
You think it wasn't obvious? Oh, it was a prominent rumor ever since the first trial.
That, and I guess Cato did walk in on us in bed together. I feel my resolve failing a bit. But then I remember Nefero again. But Nefero told me that you confessed my intelligence to him. Why would you do that? This time the cat's reaction is rather different, his ears blushing as he looks away.
He was curious about you, and he can be persuasive. I'm sorry, I told him. But again, I thought it was obvious. And I didn't think he'd tell you.
Alex scowls, massaging his ribs. I glare at the cat, wondering if I'd just made a huge mistake. But what about the triumvirates? I told you first, and then they all suddenly found out somehow? Alex quirks his head.
Well, Cassius was discussing it with someone else, wasn't he?
Virginia.
Maybe it was that person.
Nefero had said they hadn't interfered at all in the trials, and Virginia didn't show any indication that she might have sabotaged her own brother. But then again, I have the feeling that she's probably a lot better at acting than anyone else here. I know I can't really trust anyone now. Except Amicus. And maybe Nefero. I'd been so confident just moments ago, and now I find myself feeling guilty as I watch the sopping wet cat clutch himself, hunched over. I don't trust him to be telling me the truth. Not at all. But I also don't trust myself in being so confident that he's lying. So, Shamefully, I reach out a hand, resting it on his shoulder. He flinches, then glares at me. Sorry, I just thought... I'm just trying to figure out what's happening. Alex carefully moves my hand off his shoulder, but he doesn't seem all that angry.
That's fine. Just don't do it in such a brutish manner next time. You frightened me.
Yeah, and sorry about your ribs too. Even if you did do it to yourself. Alex probably hears the smile creeping into my voice at the end of the sentence, because he glares at me again.
That really hurt, you know. And now I have to go to the city to see a physician. I'll have to take the awful bumpy carriage, too, since Cassius forbids me from flying.
Alexios shakes his head. I rub my arm awkwardly. Why's that? Alexios looks up at me.
Ever since his father's ship crashed and the investigation was botched, he's petrified of it.
Botched?
Yes, so they don't know how it crashed. Odd thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Just when I was having my doubts, I get another flare of suspicion as to why he's telling me something like this. But I brush it aside for now. So, you know about everything that's happened?
Vaguely. Thought I'd rather not be involved. Anyway, I suppose it's not so inconvenient for me that I go. I was meaning to visit Cassius in the hospital today anyway.
The cat stands up, bending down with a grimace to pick up his robes.
And I am sorry about what happened to your wolf. I hope you're able to figure it out.
And with that, the cat walks out of the bathing room, his tail dragging limply behind him. I want to say more to him, to figure out exactly what he's up to. I might have been wrong about him, but I also don't feel satisfied with his explanations. I can tell now that we're not exactly friends anymore, even before I caused him to shatter his ribs and boil in the hot tub. I sat on the bench for a while, thinking about soaking in the bath. I realized then that the last time I did that was with Amicus, and doing so now, alone, would be way too depressing. I get up and leave, hoping that Virginia took my request seriously. Imagining the wolf below me, alone, is too much to think about. So, I head back into the halls, deciding just to go back to Neferu's room and stay there like I'd been told to. A few days pass like this. There's a bizarre calm in the air. The palace is quiet, despite the absolute chaos that the top echelon of the Empire is in right now. In the meantime, Cassius becomes emperor with surprisingly little fanfare. I watch it on the screens, the young white wolf's right leg and left arm in casts, which is explained several times to have happened in the third trial, as he's coronated by Cato, who is now missing his visor. That isn't explained to the viewers at all. I don't feel much as this happens, realizing how fake all of this is, how it doesn't seem to mean anything despite how much I'm told it means. It's all theatrics. What matters most now is taking the two of them down and getting Amicus up and out from that dungeon. Even now, I'm not really thinking about getting home despite the fact that the stretch drive should be returning at any moment now, if it hasn't already. There are bigger things at stake here, the main one being my best friend's life. And that's why on the third day after the fake trial, I find myself eagerly involving myself in a discussion with Neferu as he tells me his plans. Cato is due back in the palace that day, and we both suspect he'll be making a trip to our room. So, the most important thing to the wolves is drama, a scene, something memorable. That's all they seem to care about around here. Neferu sniffs dismissively as he sips at his wine, and I find myself starting to see why Amicus might find him so irritating. Not that he's wrong, though, and I usually find myself agreeing with him. So, make a scene that makes Cato and Cassius look bad. Well, most importantly, we need to find, or even make up, information about them that will irreparably damage their reputation in the public sphere. Like what Cassius did to Amicus during the second trial. Neferu smirks. Even worse than that, Marco. Preferably something that shows disloyalty, or insults the pride of the wolves in general. That is something they often can't look past. Didn't Amicus having sex with you show disloyalty? Or hurt their pride? Neferu waves his paw dismissively in the air. No, it's been established amongst the public that he was simply furthering his goal of an alliance with my species, which was completely in line with his character. As for pride, well, he wasn't the one raising his tail. I sigh. So, we need something about Cassius and Cato that's out of their character? Yes, something that shows them to be not who they say they are. The public must distrust them. Neferu strokes his chin. Would be convenient to have all the footage that Virginia was talking about, but considering how secure it might be, that could be impossible. Worth trying to get, though. Yes, I'll have to discuss that further with Virginia. So, what should I be doing? While it feels good to talk about what can be done to help Amicus, I personally want to do something. Neferu pauses, then smiles at me. Marco, my duty is to not put you in danger, as I've said. I won't have you. Well, I don't care. I need to help. I'll do whatever I have to do. Neferu raises an eyebrow at me. Oh, yes? Even if it might risk your own life. Cato is only barely tolerating the protective line that being a Camellian citizen affords you. I would not push him further. Then I'll do things behind the scenes. I don't care. I just want to do something. Neferu sighs deeply. We'll see. Just keep in mind that the most important thing to Amicus is that you stay alive. That's what you can do that will help him the most. I take that in, still not fully convinced that there's nothing I can do. But I'll certainly let you know if I believe there's a way for you to help. As for me, my status leaves me untouchable. Unless Cato wants to risk another war, which I guarantee you he does not. I'd imagine he has first-hand experience. Indeed.
Neferu, Cato wishes to enter your quarters.
I jump, wondering if the walls are thin enough for the old wolf to have heard us. Neferu doesn't seem surprised, though. Ah, as we expected. Calm, please tell him to hold for a moment. I'm in the nude.
Yes, Neferu.
Neferu looks at me. I suppose our mission starts now. I have my own drone recording in the corner there, hopefully to catch the old man saying something incriminating. What I'd like you to do is to crouch behind those bushes. Keep hidden and quiet. What? I thought I was supposed to be involved. You will be, but I'd rather he not filter himself because of you. I hesitate for a second, then quickly do as I'm told, even though I do feel bitter at the feeling of being tossed aside once again.
Neferu, I will override the security again if you do not.
Cato's voice crackles over the speakers, but that's when the jackal opens the door, and for a moment, his voice comes from two places at once. I'm pretty well hidden behind a few trees and bushes, my surroundings dark enough that I'm pretty sure Cato wouldn't be able to see me through the leaves and twigs I'm peeking through. The two males stand awkwardly across from each other, before Cato suddenly strides in, forcing the jackal to step aside, though Neferu keeps that smug smile on his face. What a pleasure it is for you to visit me today. As Cato walks in, I get a look at his face for the first time. I'd seen that he lacked his visor in the broadcast, but seeing it up close, the stern looks I'd always imagined under his now broken machinery is definitely there. His eyes have a milky, gray quality to them, heavily scarred. The old wolf stops just in front of the fountain, his ears perked up high. I wonder if he can see anything at all, and Pharaoh asks just that. How is your sight, your former highness? I see one of those ears twitch before the wolf slowly turns around.
Non-existent, young prince.
Oh, please, just call me
Where is the alien?
Neferu pauses. Alex? Or do you mean...
You know damn well who I'm referring to, Jackal.
Neferu raises his paws defensively, even though Cato can't see. Apologies, Cato. Marco told me he would be in the gardens doing landscaping work. Cato snorts.
I didn't hear him out there.
It is a rather large garden. A very beautiful one as well. Cato doesn't respond, instead staring about the room. Would you like some wine? Nefero gestures at the bedside table, picking up his own goblet to take a sip, loudly. Ah. I see Cato's ears twitch again before he turns to the jackal.
What is your plan with the alien?
Nefero frowns. Plan?
Do not ever play games with me. That will be my only warning to you, Jackal.
Cato's voice is so cold and ominous that even Nefero's grin wavers. But he recovers quickly, taking another loud slurp of wine. Such good wine. One of the few superior products your people produce. Now, as for Marco, I'm simply fulfilling a promise to Amicus.
I see. That wasn't so hard to tell me then, was it?
Speaking of, quite astonishing that he was so easily beaten by Cassius, of all people.
Quite.
I wonder how he was able to accomplish such a feat.
It was broadcast. You would have been able to see it.
Ah, well, I don't watch Adastran broadcasts. Too much melodrama and propaganda for my tastes.
Pugnu is a combination of skill and luck, and it's not always the strongest that wins.
Of course. Though I have to wonder, might any of that luck have been, well, manufactured? Cato is silent for a moment. Cato being silent is when you know that something is very wrong.
Are you implying something, Jackal?
Oh, no. I'm simply curious. I came to study the politics and workings of the Empire while also trying to improve relations between our species. I feel knowing all the facets of Wolven politics is important. Cato sneers.
There's a fine line between studying and spying here.
Nefero chuckles. Well, what I do know is that you wolves often go about things in a theatrical fashion, and it's sometimes hard to tell what's real or not. I assume the fight to be, well, somewhat staged? Cato chuckles, and immediately I know that Nefero is making a lot of mistakes here. I'm not sure what his plan is. Maybe he'd thought that Cato would be more friendly with him, or that he could lull the old wolf into a false sense of security somehow. Maybe he's just trying to feel the old man out. I also get the feeling that maybe he shouldn't have had all that wine before doing this. His suave, carefree attitude works on most, either to charm or to annoy, but Cato is not someone I feel it will work particularly well on. Either way, it's clear Cato knows exactly what's happening.
I know Kamians pride themselves on their own intelligence, but I have to wonder why, considering your extreme stupidity.
Oh? Nefero casually sloshes his wine about in his goblet.
Your arrogance amazes me, young one. I know you were fortunate enough to have been birthed after the war, but it's as if you were never taught the history between our peoples.
I've spent countless hours studying this history, Cato, and that's mostly why I'm here.
Mostly. It seems the rest of that reason is to fuck with the delicate balance our empire is currently in.
Certainly not. I'm merely an observer. I want to tell Nefero to shut up, to just tell Cato to go look for me out in the gardens, or something. I can see the hackles on Cato's shoulders rising, and I can only hope that the jackal was right about being untouchable.
I know I offered you to stay in this palace as long as you pleased, and I never withdraw an offer without good reason. But have you thought of moving out to the city? There are many more accommodations out there.
Oh, no, thank you. I much prefer it here. Everyone is so interesting.
Huh. It is just like a Kamian to take full advantage of a wolf's tolerance.
Nefero quirks an eyebrow. Tolerance? Not a word I often associate with a wolf. I can tell that Nefero is losing his cool as well.
Our tolerance for your arrogance was unprecedented.
Nefero seems confused for a moment. Oh, are you referring to the war? I'm sorry. We're quite a bit more blunt where I'm from, so I did not realize what you were getting at. Nefero smirks. For a moment, I thought you were coming on to me, much like Amicus did. Definitely too much to drink, or this jackal is a lot crazier than I thought he was. You wolves tend to be aggressive, like to...
Cato becomes a blur, closing the 5-foot distance between the two of them in less than a second. The next thing I know, Cato has the jackal up against one of the pillars, slamming Nefero so hard against it that I see the plaster crack and fall away. Nefero gasps loudly, kicking out at Cato a few times as he struggles with the old wolf's thick arms.
Get off!
Nefero kicks out again, this time at Cato's groin. If the old wolf felt anything, he doesn't show it, instead holding Nefero tightly in place while he snarls in his face.
Speaking of tolerance, I have tolerated your arrogance for far too long, just because you are the Pharaoh's son. The second son, and of a ruler who has so little power over his kingdom in the first place. I shouldn't be surprised.
Cato pulls Nefero forward, then slams him back against the pillar again, causing more plaster to fall and the jackal's teeth to clack together loud enough that I could hear it.
You're all the fucking same, every single one of you, but somehow you're the worst I have yet to meet.
Again, Cato slams Nefero against the pillar, and I start to stand up, wishing I had a Nervo. Nefero growls, trying another kick.
Is this the next generation of Kamian we must deal with? I know you weren't alive for the war, but it seems another one is inevitable if you're an example of what's to come.
Nefero tries to speak, but lets out a choked cough. Cato loosens his grasp, and Nefero gasps a few times.
You know, Amicus was a bit less rough, but if you wanted to put your paws on me, you only had to...
This time, Cato almost lifts the jackal off his feet, cutting Nefero off with a horrific gag, like he's throwing up.
I must say, you have a funny way of going about building an alliance. It's as if you thought tail-raising would get you whatever you wanted.
Now Nefero really starts to struggle, kicking around aimlessly, throwing his head left and right, sending drool flinging from his muzzle. Cato doesn't relent, and I know this is my cue to do something.
It's been a while since I've killed the jackal. My paws have been itching to do it again. Maybe you'll be my next.
I don't know what to do exactly. I have no weapons, but I wonder if maybe I can at least distract the wolf long enough for Nefero to get away, to breathe again. So, I run out of my hiding spot, rustling the branches and leaves as I do. Cato is so focused on what he's doing to Nefero that he doesn't seem to even hear me. As I run at him, I can see the wolf grinning maniacally into Nefero's face, like this really is something he's been wanting to do for a very long time. He finally seems to hear me at the last second, turning his head in my direction before I lower my shoulder to try and tackle him off of Nefero. It's like hitting a brick wall covered in fur. I make contact with the old man's side, and for a moment I get a whiff of musk and perfume before I'm sent right back down on my ass. I wonder for a moment if I've dislocated my shoulder, looking up in a daze at what result my attack might have had, if any. To my relief, I see Nefero on his paws and knees, gagging and coughing, drool stringing from his muzzle. Cato is standing slightly to the side, looking in my direction, over my head, but he clearly knows where I am. He only focuses on me for a moment, though. Then he turns his head in the direction of the coughing jackal, Nefero crawling away at this point. Cato makes his way towards him before drawing back a foot. I can only reach out, not even having enough time to ask Cato to stop before the wolf kicks the jackal between the legs. He does it so hard that I see Nefero's knees skip off the ground for a moment before he pitches face first into the marble, on his knees and clutching at himself as he lets out a howl of agony. I cringe, immediately thinking of the time I kicked Amicus, and how much harder Cato must have kicked Nefero. I start to move towards them again, in case Cato thinks of doing anything else, but the old wolf simply stands there, breathing heavily, head tilted down as he listens to Nefero moan.
For the kicks you gave me earlier, that should put your whoring out of commission for a few days, no?
Nefero is curled up on his knees at this point, paws tucked into himself. It's at this point that I see a gush of red liquid overflow from his muzzle, and for a horrific moment, I wonder if somehow Cato had kicked him so hard that he'd ruptured his organs or something. But no, it's the wine, and it spills across the marble. Cato wrinkles his nose at the retching sound before carefully stepping around the jackal.
As I said, I won't withdraw my offer for you to stay, but there are many apartments open in the city. Just know that you will not be able to take your new citizen with you. Otherwise, I'd like to try this discussion again in the future, if you're willing to be more cooperative.
With that, the old wolf stalks out of the bedroom. At the same time, 2 white drones float in, hovering over Neferu. One lowers itself to the ground to begin cleaning up the mess, while the other holds what looks like a couple capsules on a plate, which it balances on a metal appendage.
Neferu, you seem to have vomited. Would you like anti-nausea medication?
I stumble over to the jackal to kneel at his side and try to help in any way that I can. He simply keeps his eyes screwed shut, holding up a paw before returning to his sore spot. Awkwardly, I rub at his shoulder, trying to ignore the smell as the drone does its work of cleaning up the puke. A few minutes later, I manage to help the jackal to the bed, his breath ragged the entire way. It's strange seeing him like this, usually so confident and in control. I never expected anyone to do anything like this to him. But I guess if someone was going to do it, it was Cato. "Are you sure you're okay?" I ask for what's probably the 3rd time as I sit next to him, and Pharaoh manages a smile, despite the clear pain he's in.
No, but I'll have to go to the physician to be sure. All the way in the city since Cato saw fit to imprison the palace doctor.
Do you need, like, ice or something? I don't know, he hit you so fucking hard.
I'll manage. I just miscalculated. I'll know how to handle him in the future.
I frown, not really feeling like that's the case. As I'm trying to help him, though, Calm's voice comes over the intercom again.
Virginia requests access to your room, Neferu.
Neferu suddenly straightens up, moving his paws from his crotch to his thighs.
Granted.
She nods at the 2 of us before wrinkling her nose.
Smells like rancid wine in here. Indeed. What did you need, Virginia?
To my surprise, Virginia turns to me. Instead of the hostile expression she'd been wearing the last time we'd encountered each other, it's much kinder, much to my relief. "Marco, I had a discussion with Cassius about seeing Amicus. He seems accepting to the idea, under one condition." There's a pause. "What?" "Well, he wishes to speak with you in private." "Private?" Neferu immediately speaks up next to me.
That is not wise, Marco. We should negotiate with him to allow me to be there.
Virginia laughs. "You really think Cassius would allow a Camillean in on a private conversation?" Virginia pauses, eyeing the jackal, Neferu currently still hunched up despite his attempts to keep straight. "What happened to you?"
Nothing of note.
I raise an eyebrow, which Virginia sees.
"Marco, what happened?"
"Well..." I pause, watching as Neferu raises his own eyebrow, but makes no attempt to stop me. "Well, Neferu pissed off Cato, and Cato hurt him."
What? I was attempting to pry information from the old man about the staged trial. I was unsuccessful.
"Why did you even think you could be successful? Cato knows exactly what we're up to, no doubt. This is so unlike you. It jeopardizes everything, Neferu."
Virginia seems completely bewildered, and now that I think of it, I have to agree. What was Neferu thinking? But then, Virginia narrows her eyes as she sees the jackal grinning, now openly covering his crotch.
"What?"
Well, I may not have achieved exactly what I wanted, but I attained something just as valuable.
Neferu glances at the corner of the room where his drone is. "You recorded it all?"
Yes, and the attack on the Pharaoh's son will not look very nice on the Khmer news channels, will it?
"Neferu?" A dark tone enters the wolf's voice. "That risks war." The jackal rolls his eyes, adjusting himself rather lewdly.
I would never actually send it, but Cato does not know that. It's simply convenient blackmail material if things don't go as planned.
Virginia squeezes the bridge of her snout, closing her eyes.
"You don't know Cato very well, do you?"
And neither do I. Sometimes I believe he wants another war. Did he hit you? Virginia's eyes drift lower.
Yes, and anyway, he's no longer the Emperor. It's Cassius I'd use it against.
"You know Cato is his advisor?"
But still, not the Emperor.
I would hope your brother has large enough stones. Again, the jackal adjusts himself. To do his job, and not listen to a warmongering advisor. One would hope. Virginia continues to look unconvinced. I shift around impatiently, next to Neferu. So, did he want to see me now? Virginia turns to me, again looking as if she had forgotten that I was there. That seemed to be the case. Neferu sighs loudly. At least try to convince him to allow you to be present, Virginia. I don't want Marco to be left alone with him. There is little to worry about. Cass is not Cato. But I can try. Virginia looks at me. Ready, Marco? I quickly get up, following the wolf to the door. I look back at Neferu, the jackal looking uncharacteristically disheveled as he's still hunched up around his junk. He gives me a meaningful look, probably meant to tell me to be careful, so I give him a quick nod before following the wolf out the door. We walk in silence, the only sounds being the birds and the swishing of our robes as we make our way through the halls. I'm not sure exactly where we're going, but after a while, I realize it must be the throne room. I stare at the back of the she-wolf's head, contemplating a few things. Virginia is the person I know the least about in this palace, which probably means she's doing the best job at playing this little game. I want to ask her a lot of things, but I'm worried about overstepping boundaries, something that seems rather easy to do with her. As we get closer to the door, I can't help myself from asking at least one question. So, do you care that Amicus is in the dungeons? Like, you want to get him out, not just because you want to be his advisor, right? Immediately, I see the wolf's ears flick back, in hopefully mild annoyance, and not extreme anger. Her voice is steady when she answers me, though. First of all, it's not any of your business what my motivations are, Marco. Virginia doesn't follow that up immediately, so we're left in an awkward silence as we walk the last 10 feet to the throne room door. She pauses there, and finally looks at me, her eyes narrowed. But Amicus is my brother, and for that alone, I love him. And though he's a complete dullard, he's one of the few to be genuinely kind to me in this palace. He's a good wolf. Virginia turns away, raising a paw to hover over the black panel. But you already know that. With that, she presses the panel, and the doors slide open. I immediately spot Cassius at the other end of the cavernous room, looking a bit small and insignificant on the extravagant throne. Probably not the best impression for the Emperor of Adastra to make. As I'm thinking this, we begin making our way toward him. A drone hovers in front of the white wolf, holding up a screen under his face. He's not looking at it now, though, instead narrowing his eyes at the two of us, as Virginia escorts me to the base of the steps. Here he is, brother. Cassius shifts around in his seat, and for a moment, I think I catch a sight of some sort of booster seat under his rear.
Thank you, Virginia. You can leave us be now.
Virginia hesitates, clasping her paws together in front of herself. Brother, I would feel more comfortable if I were allowed to stay. I'd rather not leave you alone with an unprofiled alien. Cassius snorts, waving his paw dismissively.
I've interacted with him many times before. I will be fine. If not, then the drones will take care of him.
Cassius makes eye contact with me as he says that last part, clearly meaning for me to take it as a warning. Or a threat. Virginia hesitates again, and Cassius's eyes drift toward her in question. That's when the she-wolf bows deeply before turning away. As she passes me, she gives me her own look, not unlike Neferu's. Be careful. I continue to face Cassius as I listen to Virginia's soft footsteps recede behind me. Then I hear the door open and close. I keep my eyes low, on Cassius's feet, though I can tell he's looking directly at me. The silence drags on. I wonder if the white wolf is using Cato's technique of using silence to intimidate. Finally, though, he clears his throat loudly, almost making me jump.
First, I want to say that you may speak freely here. I only want the truth.
I look up at him then, and see that he's not looking at me anymore. Instead, it's to the side, as if he's lost in thought.
I'm confused as to how all of this could have happened, so know that if you speak the truth, you will be free from any consequences.
Consequences? He's making it sound as if I've committed some sort of crime or conspiracy. I mean, maybe I've been
a part of some, but it's definitely not my fault. What do you want to know? Cassius's eyes flick to mine then, and I see mild surprise there. He's still probably not used to an alien like me speaking directly to him in full sentences. He pauses again before resting his chin on a paw, clearly trying to look casual.
Who exactly are you?
I raise an eyebrow. Marco, you already know this.
I know your name, but I want to know more beyond that. What is it that you're doing here? How did my brother find you?
Immediately, our conversation reaches a point where I find myself unsure of what to say. How much can I say to him? Obviously, I can't trust him at all. I know that. But I also know that he's in complete control over what happens to Amicus, and there may be a few things I have to give up to keep my wolf safe. So, I square my shoulders and look Cassius in the eye. I want to know that Amicus is okay first, and I want to see him. Immediately, Cassius's demeanor changes from sour suspicion to sour fury.
Excuse me? You aren't the one to make demands here. I am the Emperor, and you will answer my questions.
I get the vague sensation of my balls drawing up into my stomach as I realize how dangerous all of this is. My thoughts go to that physician, Felix, being sent to the dungeons without a second thought. But I know I have protections, and I have to trust them now if I'm going to make any sort of deal with Cassius. Yeah, but you're not my emperor. I answer to the Pharaoh. I'm spitballing, but it seems to be working as it gives Cassius pause. After a moment, it seems like he's able to collect himself.
So I've heard. But remind yourself that you are on Adastra. Therefore, you are to abide by our laws and customs. And lying to the Emperor is punishable by death.
And again, that feeling in my stomach. But I have to remind myself, rules don't matter here. It's all about playing their game. I know that Cassius would never have me executed or imprisoned while the Pharaoh is here. That would be far too risky for the Empire as a whole. I can't be intimidated by empty threats, even if they threaten my life. If I want to help Amicus, I have to push the limits. At least within reason. I also remind myself that I'm not completely untouchable, as Nefero's balls can attest to. I just want to see my former master. If you can guarantee me that, then I'll tell you what happened. Another long pause as Cassius glares at me. Then he lets out a little huff.
Fine.
It's almost funny how he's still acting like a child, despite now being the Emperor of Adastra. So, I take a deep breath. I consider lying, of course, but what Amicus did was an honest mistake. At least, in my opinion. Lying will probably only make things worse, when the truth should be so understandable. So, I start at the beginning. How Amicus came upon the records of my people in the archives, how he rushed to my planet to find a willing pet. How everything suddenly went south when he found out far too late that we were not part of the Galaxius. And finally, how we tried to keep it all a secret to keep the Empire safe. I emphasize the keeping the Empire safe part, even if it wasn't originally at the top of my priorities. I'm telling the truth, even if I'm stretching it a bit. Cassius listens to all of this with various reactions. Contempt, surprise, anger, then contemplation. I'm struck by the contrast between him and Cato. While Cato keeps his emotions in check, aside from the occasional explosion of rage, Cassius wears it all on his sleeve. Not that different from Amicus in that way, even if his personality is. When Cassius still doesn't say anything, I sigh. It was an honest mistake. You have to understand that.
I already know that it was a mistake. Even Amicus would not make first contact on purpose. I had just wondered what sort of stupidity caused it.
He had no reason to think we were uncontacted. We were recorded in the library, or whatever. Cassius suddenly shifts on his throne.
What are you? Species and planet name?
His last sentence has the inflection of an expectant demand. Now I'm left to stand in silence. No fucking way am I telling this wolf brat where I'm from. Cassius must see this on my face immediately, because his fur once again puffs out in anger.
Do you want to see Amicus or not? I need to know this to verify that what you're saying is truthful.
Is that really why? I know what you wolves do to other aliens. Why would I give away my people like that? Cassius puffs himself up even bigger, and I wonder if he's going to start screaming at me. Then he suddenly just deflates.
The problem here is first contact, yes? So why would I go out to find and do whatever you think it is I do to your people? I have no interest in furthering the problem. I simply want to know.
But why do you care? Cassius snapped his eyes back up to mine.
Believe it or not, Marco, I'm trying to help Amicus. Do you know the consequences of such a crime? He could be executed for this.
Now my heart does a backflip. What? Why?
Because it is a sacred rule created by the parents. Disobeying them risks our entire empire to abandonment.
But you're the Emperor! If you want him kept alive, can't you just do that? I feel myself starting to panic a little. I thought that maybe Amicus would be kept in the dungeons for a while, but never that he could be at risk of being executed.
If it were only I that knew this, maybe. But there are others that know of his crime, and they expect me to terminate all evidence of the first contact.
Cassius stares at me, and I realize part of that evidence is, of course, me. Are you talking about Cato? He's just your advisor, right? You can ignore him. This time Cassius doesn't respond, looking away again.
If I can make the case that this was a truly honest mistake, then maybe I have a chance of convincing these others. Better yet, convince them that this wasn't first contact at all. Are you even sure your people are completely unaware of the Glacius?
I start to say that I'm pretty sure, but he's looking at me in a strange way. Our governments are pretty secretive. They might know something.
So it's possible that a crime wasn't committed at all, simply a misunderstanding. And knowing where you came from can help us determine that.
I'm a bit caught off guard by all of this. I guess I'd expected Cassius to let Amicus rot in the dungeons while he enjoyed his emperorship. But I'm reminded of what Virginia had said earlier, that although they might stab each other in the back, they're still siblings. Didn't you once say that you don't care about the parents? Wouldn't it be part of your plan for them to abandon the Empire? Cassius sighs deeply.
I've said many things, but I found that once you become Emperor, your perspective on things change.
Like how much you need the parents? Cassius glares at me, so I just go on. How would they find out anyway? Amicus said something about monitors? Obviously, we can just talk about it out in the open without anything happening. I look around, as if expecting a monitor to poke its head out from behind one of the pillars.
I don't know, but what I do know is that the fewer who know, the better.
What even is a monitor? Cassius shrugs.
Again, I don't know. None have appeared in living memory, but that does not mean we should not be cautious. The risk is far too great.
I don't really understand this. I feel like if the parents are so powerful and all-knowing as these aliens make them out to be, then they probably already know I'm here. Before I can bring this up to Cassius, though...
So, what are you, and where are you from?
I think. He's right that it wouldn't make sense for the wolves to go after Earth. It is technically the last thing that the Empire would want, especially with Cassius as Emperor, considering his isolationist views. But most importantly, it could help Amicus. I take a deep breath. And if I tell you, you'll let me see Amicus?
Yes.
I don't like only being able to go on his word, but for some reason, I feel like he's being sincere. I'm a human from the planet Earth.
Human. Earth.
Cassius mumbles the words, the lingua cutting off and allowing me to hear the wolf's accented voice unfiltered. He pulls the floating drone at his side toward himself, tapping at the screen a few times, probably making notes. It feels incredibly wrong at that moment, like I've betrayed all humans somehow. But again, I can't see why it would put Earth in danger. On top of that, I'm also counting on Amicus becoming Emperor eventually, and I know he'd never do anything to my planet. I'm playing the game. Cassius stares at the screen a while, and I shift around on my feet. So, I can go see him now? He snaps his gaze up to mine.
Yes, now is best. Cato should not be back for a few more hours, but I can only give you 20 minutes, just to be safe.
Cato? What about him?
What do you mean, what about him?
I want to ask Cassius why it sounds like Cato is in charge and not he himself, but I know not to press those buttons right now. Never mind. So, I can see him regularly? Cassius sighs loudly again, standing up.
If it's not often and you come to me first, and if Kato's away.
Yep, definitely not fully in charge. Kato's clearly got some control over Cassius. Either way, I'm too happy at the thought of being able to see Amicus semi-regularly to care at the moment.
Anyway, Calm, escort Marco to the dungeons to visit Amicus for 20 minutes.
That's when I remember I have other questions. Wait, do you have contact with the parents now? Cassius looks at me strangely.
Yes, we made contact after I became Emperor. It was expected.
Oh, that's good.
Indeed. Though we had to implement the traditional technique, it's a bit archaic, but highly effective.
Oh, so do you have the stretch drive again? Cassius looks at me suspiciously. Hey, I need to get home eventually, and you'd be getting rid of a problem if you got me there.
Well, no, not yet. But I've only spoken with him a few times. I'll be meditating on that today. I'll keep you updated when we discuss things in the future.
You want to talk to me again?
Yes.
Cassius then stalks off while a drone circles around me, telling me to follow it. I think about apologizing then for the whole Nervo incident, but then I realize if he's not going to mention it, then maybe I shouldn't either. I realize then how strange the whole exchange has been. Cassius had seemed like a whole different person, but I guess now he thinks of me more as an equal, at least in terms of intelligence. It makes him almost tolerable. I'm led to a part of the palace that I've never been to before. We go through a small door into a small room that has a small pit in it. A ladder leads down into this pit, a pit that I can only imagine leads to the dungeons. The hole is dark, and as I pause, I can feel the drone hovering behind me.
Please proceed down the ladder, Marco.
I get a prickling sensation on the back of my neck, and I wonder for a moment if this is some sort of trap. I mean, of course it feels like a trap. I have a creepy AI nudging me toward a pit of darkness, all set up by Cassius. Despite the feeling, I force myself downward, shakily lowering myself to the ladder, several times feeling as if I'm going to slip and fall. I have no idea how deep this thing goes, but as I start to think it might be a significant drop, my foot hits solid ground. To my surprise, I get exactly what I had been expecting. It's what looks like, well, a straight-up dungeon. Dim yellow lighting is cast across the stone walls and floor, the air musty and stale, the halls quiet. The air is cold, and, fleetingly, I'm glad that Amicus has at least that. And as I'm thinking this, I hear movement up ahead. Shuffling footsteps and shadows being cast on the walls of the hallway in front of me. I take a few steps forward, but Calm buzzes behind me.
Remain close to the ladder, please.
I stop and wait impatiently, wondering if what's up ahead is indeed Amicus. Again, I get that creeping feeling that I've been betrayed somehow, that what's up ahead is some sort of monster Cassius decided to feed me to. Instead, though, what turns the corner is Amicus. For a moment, my wolf stands there at the other end of the hall, staring at me. Then, before I know it, he's running at me. I start to move forward, but Calm tells me to stay put once again, more firmly this time. So I force myself to wait, watching as my wolf sprints at me. As he gets closer, I open my arms, and the next thing I know, I'm caught up in a mass of fur, warmth, and tears.
Marco!
I'm spun around in a circle, my face pressed hard against the wolf's neck before I'm set down again. Amicus doesn't let me go, though, clutching me tightly to his body. He'd sounded happy at first, but now I feel him gasp and shake. Amicus! I pull back as much as he'll let me so I can see his face. I see that he's crying, not even trying to hide it as he looks down at me with reddened eyes. He looks okay for the most part. His fur is a bit disheveled, and maybe he's a little thinner. But otherwise, he looks healthy. The most noticeable change is actually his smell. A hint of musk without any scent of lavender. Amicus is looking at me just as closely, and one of his paws comes up to brush a thumb pad across my cheek. It's then that I realize that I'm crying too. So I press my face against his chest again, and we stay like that for a while. After about 10 minutes, our breathing is under control,
and the wolf's grip on me loosens, though he doesn't let go. Finally, Amicus is the first to speak. Marco, I am so sorry. What are you still doing here? You're a Camillean. You need to go to Nefero and tell him that you want to be taken home. Or at least to Camilla. His voice breaks. You need to get off of Adastra. It's not safe for you here. At the very least, have Virginia help smuggle you from the palace. You could... I reach up a hand and press it against his muscle, both to stop him from telling me to do things I won't be doing, and also because I feel like Calm is recording this, even if Cassius doesn't mean to monitor us. Amicus pauses in surprise as I clamp his muzzle shut. Then I see his eyes well up again as he reaches up to cup my hand and press his face into it, closing his eyes. I'm fine. I'm here to help you. I choose my words carefully. I'm going to help you, and I'm not leaving until I do. Marco, I'm not leaving. Please! This time I bring my other hand up to his mouth. I'm safe. Nefero is keeping me very safe. Nothing can be done to me. I'm a Camillean now.
10 minutes remaining, Marco.
Already? Suddenly, I'm pressed up against the wolf's chest again as Amicus hugs me tightly. I'm such a damn fool. I never think of others. I ruined your life, and for what? No, I press back again. I know that I can leave with Nefero's help, but I'm choosing not to. Amicus opens his mouth to say more, but I cut in before he can. I want to be here, and I'm about to say take down Cato, but I cut myself off. Help you. Even Cassius wants to. I'm going to get you out of here no matter what. More tears start to well up, so I just hug him, and we stay like that for a while. I wish I'd thought of things to say. I'm sure there are things I could have brought up that might have helped me, or Amicus. But my mind is blank, as all I want to do is hold my wolf. Please, just don't involve yourself too much. Keep yourself safe. Being a Camillean doesn't guarantee all that if you meddle. I can hear Amicus trying to choose his own words carefully. Yeah, Cato's already shown me that. Amicus jerks back, looking at me. Did he do something to you? Not me, Nefero. What happened? Nefero was kind of being forward, and he got kicked in the nuts. What? Yeah. But he's the Pharaoh's son. Yeah, so I know that I need to be especially careful. The look of shock on Amicus's face slowly changes to one of slight amusement. Well, that's something I can't imagine. It was definitely something. I'm glad to see Amicus smiling, at least a little.
1 minute.
I feel a flash of annoyance at the AI before Amicus is hugging me tightly again. I'm going to be careful. I'm just going to help everyone figure out how best to clear your name. I love you so much. I love you too.
Time limit has been reached. Please proceed to the ladder, Marco. Please proceed to your cell, Amicus.
Amicus's embrace doesn't loosen, and instead, he lowers his head to kiss me. I kiss back.
Please untangle your limbs and oral cavities and proceed to your respective directives.
Amicus huffs in annoyance before drawing back. And I'll be back. I just need to ask Cassius for the right times. All right. There's much more I want to say to you, so please, return soon, if you possibly can. Of course, as soon as I can. Amicus gives me a small smile, and though I see tears in his eyes, they don't overflow this time. The journey back to Nefero's room is when it all hits me at once, and I have to constantly wipe my eyes in case someone like Alex, Nefero, or Cato comes around the corner and sees me. I already desperately miss Amicus, and now that I've just left him, I'm reminded of how alone I feel now that he's not always by my side. Next time I visit, I'll bring a bunch of stuff to say, do, and eat. I can't imagine the dungeon food is any good. Maybe we can find more privacy next time, and we'll be able to plan things out. Maybe pass information on to him somehow. The thought of this makes me feel a little bit better, and my eyes are mostly dry as I near the jackal's room. It's at that moment that I get a strange whiff of something in the air. Like mothballs. That's all that comes to mind. It's something that I've never smelled in the palace before, so I find myself pausing in the hallway, looking around. Nothing seems out of place. It's quiet and bright, as it usually is.
But that's when I realize where I am. There's a door to my left, and I immediately know that's the meditation room. I remember then that Cassius mentioned that he wanted to meditate to talk to the parents. Is he in there doing that right now? And is that smell part of it? I'm reminded of the night I first met Amicus, that I'd smelled something like burning rubber in the air. This isn't that, but I have to wonder if maybe the parents emit this odd smell when they arrive. I stand there for a while, listening. I don't hear anything, but the smell continues, and I know now that it's definitely coming from that room. My eyes are squarely locked on the black panel. I want to open it, but I know I can't. If Cassius really is in the middle of talking to the parents, I could ruin everything. So, I start to turn away, deciding that I'll ask Neferu what might be going on in there. But as I do, the door opens, and a cloud of billowing white smoke comes out. I gasp and jump back, seeing a figure standing in the doorway. It's Cassius, and he's hacking and coughing, gasping for breath. I can see that he's shaking too, and I'm about to back away when he locks eyes on me. His eyes are wide, bloodshot, and I can see what looks like vomit on his chest. His muzzle hangs open, as if he's trying to talk to me. He's hyperventilating, though, and that's finally when I step forward. Cassius, are you okay? I have to walk into the cloud to get him, and I'm enveloped in that chemical smell, immediately coughing out the acrid odor.
Help!
Cassius reaches out to me, and I catch his paw. Immediately, he slumps against me, and I stumble under his significant weight. Nowhere near to that of Amicus, but he is a wolf after all. What happened? I try to peer into the room, but it's so smoky. I see what looks like a little fire in the middle, though. A pot burning something inside. Did Cassius hotbox himself with something?
Parents! Demons!
I don't know what to do. At first, I start to try and pull Cassius along toward Neferu's room, but I immediately switch course, deciding that I definitely won't make it. Amicus's room is closer. I just hope I can still get in there.
I can't.
Cassius whines, and then suddenly lets out a retch. I try to ignore it, just kind of hoping that someone else will come around the corner to help me, even if it's Cato. As I'm thinking this, I realize that the hall seems to stretch further and further ahead of me. The light takes on an odd quality, strangely sharp and bright. And just like that, I instantly fall into what feels like a dream. God damn it! What were you smoking?
Parents!
Cassius squeaks. I'm angry, not just because this dumb wolf got me high on who knows what, but because I'm realizing that this is what Cassius was referring to when he said the traditional technique of contacting the parents had worked. All he was doing was getting high on some DMT shit. Is this how it's always been? Are the wolves, all the aliens, just getting their crazy parent ideas from some drug? The hall continues to extend ahead of me, and suddenly I feel like I'm looping in time. Like time doesn't matter at all anymore. I can see why Cassius is panicking. I'm starting to myself. After what seems like an eternity, I manage to find Amicus's door. Shakily, I reach out and press the panel, the door sliding open. I practically throw Cassius onto the bed. He seems to have stopped blubbering at this point. I collapse onto the sofa, my anger at the wolves and so-called parents dissipating from my mind. As the high increases, I raise my hands in front of my face and immediately regret it as they start to stretch and bend. Quickly, I jerk them back to my chest, hugging myself, trying to keep my breathing under control. It feels like I'm sinking into a crater, like the ceiling is raising up above me, and that time won't start moving again. I gasp and clutch at the cushions, shutting my eyes, trying to calm myself down.
You seem to be worried about something. Want a stress tablet to help you out?
That voice sounds kind of like calm, kind of not.
They help you chill.
What? My confusion over Calm's voice melts away as mercifully, darkness takes me. I'm relieved to find myself back up in space. I float,
content, calm, happy, even though I sensed someone watching me, just behind me. Behind me. There is no behind me, because I don't have a body anymore. Instead, the feeling creeps just outside of my awareness. Whenever I try to focus on it, it slips away. So instead, I just let it go, floating in space, feeling almost nothing. And feeling nothing right now, after everything, feels good. But after a moment, I start to get vague, far-off feelings. Not my own feelings, but the feelings of others, and I pick them up like distant whispers.
We've interfered far too much already. Nothing goes to plan with the wolves. It must be done.
I'm only half listening, coasting on the waves of soothing, empty space. If this is how the drug makes you feel, I'm pretty into it.
The more we interfere, the harder it will be to predict anything. There is no other choice.
The voice feelings cease at that point, and I continue to ripple on the waves of the universe. That's when I notice something appearing in the center of my infinite space. I've seen this thing before, I think. Dreams that had fled my mind the moment I'd woken up suddenly come flooding back. I focus on this being, this creature that's been following me since I was abducted. He looms there, staring at me, even though I'm everywhere at once. The silence goes on for a while. Or maybe not. I still don't have any sense of time. That is until the creature speaks.
Marco.